My name is Wabiri Jordan. Thank you for having me today. Then what's God shall get, then that's not shall. So the Bible says, and it still is true. The mama may have, your papa may have, but God bless the child that God is on. God is on. The strong get more, while the weak ones spare. Empty pockets never make the grade. Your mama may have, your papa may have, but God bless the child that's got his own. It's got his own. Money, you got lots of friends. Crowding round your door. When that money's gone and the spending ends, the friends don't come around no more. Your rich relations give a crust of bread and stuff. You can help yourself, but don't take too much. 'Cause your mama may have, your papa may have. God bless the child that's got his own. It's got her own. God bless the child that's got her own.
Right. Well, thank you, Wabiri Jordan, for that opening song.
Thank you.
And thank you for the clicking following, everyone, for the appreciation. I'd like to first welcome everyone to part one of our second event for the winter 2021 virtual roundtable panel discussion on developing a 12-month plan of action to end racism, racial discrimination, xenophobia, and related intolerance global, one race, the human race. I'd like to start off with land acknowledgements. For myself, here in Columbus, Ohio, we are on the tribal lands of the Shawnee, Delaware, and Wyandot. So now if you'd like to take up from there, please.
I'm here in South Central Los Angeles. That's the county is the largest population of Native Americans. I'm going to honor also the first residents, Black folk who came and built our city.
Very nice. And Zero Conditions, would you like to offer up some land acknowledgements and honors as well?
Yes, I'm here in Maryland of the Indian tribes Piscataway and Patawamek. I think Patawamek, I think that's how you say. I'm still trying to get the right pronunciation. Gotta get more practice in there. However, honor a statement of appreciation to Howard Zinn and the Zinn Education Project that it gave me a lot of awareness of the history that I didn't know in regards to the North Americas, and beyond, of course.
Fantastic. Moving into introductions at this time. Why don't we start off with our resident queen bee here, Sedanam. Why don't you start us off with introducing yourself?
Never. Leaders eat last. You can start with our queen and empress entertainer.
I'm not sure if Wabiri is still with us at this
Oh,
point.
sorry.
He's muted, so that's where I was going on to politeness. And
Okay, no problem. I'm Sudanamo Iwasife Curry, resident of South Central Los Angeles, committed to ending racism in our lifetime. Been a Green for 18 years. This is my new focus in life, ending racism.
Fantastic. Woody, would you like to take us up for your introduction, please, sir?
Yes, I was born in Peru, migrated here to Maryland, and did some Green Party activism. Also, as an artist, I write poetry, spoken word, and I am also equally committed to an anti-racist platform that can empower us all.
Fantastic. I'm John Anderson. I'm based out of Columbus, Ohio. I'm currently the chef de cuisine of Willowbrook Christian Community's Delaware Run campus. I'm also a graduate of Baldwin Wallace College with a degree in education and history with a minor in political science, where I did focus on environmental issues. And my beginning my master's degree focused on slavery foundations in America and where it all started with. At this point, I am just still actively involved with liberal groups to try to get discussion out there to talk about just about anything that anyone would listen to at this point, because we need to have more dialogue about all these different issues, and hopefully that'll lead to a solution. The purpose for tonight, I'd like to introduce to everyone. Our purpose is to develop a 12-month plan of action to end racism and racial discrimination, xenophobia, and related intolerance globally. We are following the UN's footsteps and moving forward to end racism. And we're also hoping to craft a 9-month virtual call to action on the doctrine of discovery against the papal bull of Inter Cantera issued by Pope Alexander VI on May 4th, 1493. Playing a central role in the Spanish conquest of the New World, the document supported Spain's strategy to ensure its exclusive right to the lands discovered by Columbus the previous year. That takes us to you, Senna, if you'd like to offer up the background information, please.
This came about because we celebrated, myself and Jessica Bronson, we held space for 1 hour last year from August the 31st to September the 8th. And 3 actions came out. One, we set up a Facebook page for the 20th anniversary of the UN, the World Conference to End Racism, and all those things that we list. Second, we set up roundtables that, we would do 24 over the year to get solutions. And then we set up something else. But the commitment was to end racism. I see another person. I can't quite read the name. I don't know if you see another person.
I do. It's Jules Alexandra Smith appears to be with us this evening.
Okay.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Bless you, Jules.
Well,
Peace.
let's jump ahead to our house rules for this evening. And our rules for this evening will be simple one-word rules focusing around justice, open-mindedness, truthfulness, accountability, and unity. At this point, I guess, Jules, since you're joining us, why don't you give us a quick self-introduction of you for one moment, if you would like to introduce yourself and your thoughts real quick.
Well, I was invited by Zero, and I had heard about this, I believe. I don't know if you guys have, I'm assuming you guys have done it before, but I've heard about it before, and I was really interested, wanted to partake in the conversation, or at least just listen. And I consider myself an artist, and I'm interested in how to end racism I guess I'm also interested in like focusing on the kids and the children and figuring out how to just mold anti-racist children, because a lot of racist behavior is learned, and just figuring out how to heal generational racism and trauma and across the board generally. Yes.
Well, fantastic. Thank you for joining us this evening. Nam, why don't you take us up to our actual format for this virtual roundtable, please?
Okay, it's actually just in 3 parts. One is defining tyranny, the next one is defining whiteness, and then brainstorming solutions. Jewel, we've never done it like this. We normally invite guest panelists, but we decided, because we all saw what happened on January 6th, that anybody that comes, if you want to be, you're a guest panelist. So we need to ask you for a 1-word rule. I don't know if you were able to hear the rules, house rules that John gave us already. That each one of those came from all of us. So we'll get your rule and then we'll move on, to the roundtable, if that's okay. John?
Would you like a relisting of the rules as they stand?
Yeah, just so she can, not repeat. Give us
certainly.
the same one.
Certainly. Right now, our rules, Jules, is justice, open-mindedness, truthfulness, accountability, and unity. If there's any items you would like to join into that, or if you feel like you can echo the sentiment, I certainly understand as well.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? I'm also in the middle of groceries shopping, but can you repeat that?
Well, if you prefer to just kind of be a passive listener under the circumstances, I can understand going down the produce aisle. People are going to think that you're having racial issues with your zucchinis and your carrots, and we don't want that happening to everybody either.
No worries. I'll be able to speak in like 10 minutes, 5 minutes maybe.
Well, how about we let you be the passive listener for right now. When you have an opportunity to join us, feel free to join in with conversation.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Yes. All right. Well, I look forward to hearing whether everything was picked up on the grocery list or not. I guess we start off with our categories as Sanam had listed. The first one will be looking for the definition on the acts of tyranny. As far as my opinion, my definition of tyranny, I think every person, the initial thing they always think of is overbearing power against those that are striving to live free. I think that's a fair example of it. But tyranny, I think, is a broader point, looking more towards those who try to find any way to oppress others. It can be anything. It can be social tyranny. It can be financial tyranny. It's very broad in my mindset. Just anybody that feels that they can exert a will against another, feeling to take a power play, I view as an act of tyranny.
So you're the facilitator, right?
I am, but I gave my 2 cents, and I'm waiting.
But you have to get everybody in.
Well,
ask them.
Well, I wasn't sure where everyone is. Why don't you join it? What's your act of tyranny definition?
Yeah, definitely. As you were speaking, I was visualizing tyranny as an act of destruction, control through means of violence. Acquiring or hoarding resources by means of destruction, and really allowing other people to die only for self. So an act of tyranny is a type of power that obliterate that destroys life and is unfair.
Fair assessment, I'd say. And Sanam, would you like to join in with your definition of acts of tyranny?
I'm going to read over what I got so far. Way to oppress, socially, financially, et al., power play, destructive, control, based on violent acts, death for self, I might have messed up, power, destructive life, unfair. Did I capture that?
I'd say that was a pretty good broad spectrum of it. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So is tyranny good?
Well, I think tyranny arises from, I would definitely say it's not good, but I think in all cases, it's the absolute power corrupts absolutely. People feel like they're in a controlling sense, and maybe at the point, at the beginning, it's with good intention, but leads into that controlling and overbearing and results in that tyranny and oppression. So, no, I think it's an end result of humanity, of people really feeling that they know what's best, and that can lead to tyranny as opposed to opening it up for more of an equal representation of everybody. What about you, Woody? What do you think?
Is tyranny good? That was the question.
Yes, sir.
I think that perhaps is an extreme form of violence. And I had a brief discussion with my son about the meaning of violence, how violence can sometimes be seen as a necessity when you have to defend yourself, when you're being oppressed. But I think the extreme form of it is tyranny, is to abuse the power as a human being on another human being per se, and take it to the extreme where it causes destruction. So no, it's not good.
I'd like to ask, are we off base by calling what happened Wednesday the 6th at our Capitol tyrannical behavior or tyranny?
I think that's tough, honestly, because
Okay.
I think honestly and truly, it's hard to say whether you have to ask yourself intended, unintended, and to what degree anyone was looking for. I don't know. I can't give you that answer. I have a weird feeling that it was more approached that if something worse happens, oops, it happened, by those that kind of started it without wanting to stop it. So I don't know if you want to call it tyranny, because I don't think there's any one large group leading it. I don't feel there was any one individual really pushing it at that point. I think everyone kind of threw into the powder keg and got it going. But that's my opinion.
What about you, Woody? Did what you saw on Wednesday, January 6th, was it tyranny?
Although to a certain degree, I feel like I need more in-depth understanding of everything that happened. What it seemed to me, at least from the little bit that I know, it seemed to me that Trump was motivating a violent faction to act on his behalf. So even though it seemed like all these people had some, I guess in their mind, justifiable reason, when we talk about tyranny, I think that Trump seems to be the cause and effect of, like, he seems to be causing the effect of tyranny, whether unintentionally or not.
Julie, are you with us now? Okay.
Not yet, sorry.
No problem. So for me, because we live in a democracy and it was based on an election, not just one like out of the blue. And when you trace, I see sedition. I saw a coordinated impact. I did criminology. So I look at the acts as premeditated. So when you say Trump, I'll say not just Trump, I would say it's America, because we haven't reckoned with making our perfect union. We pushed the doctrine of discovery. So if you look at our Constitution, how Black people were not made, were looked at as 3/5, natives were looked at as savage, women weren't even included. So for me, those people have a false sense of what really our democracy was based on and how they interpret it. So I felt that they were misled purposefully. So I'm glad to hear both your understandings, but I take it back to 1455 with the signing of the Doctrine of Discovery by the Pope with the European monarchs. And I believe none of those people even know about that. So like they really haven't read the Constitution either. So that, you know, it's just a part of why we do these roundtables to get, you know, folks to understand. Sometimes we act on misinformation, and it's up to us as Americans to help enlighten each other and love us to understand how come A, B, and C. Because they were clearly misguided. There's no way I would go to cut up with my cell phone and take pictures of it.
Well, I think that's where my problem was with the whole thing. If you as a group felt that you were wronged by an election, whether it be right or not, and you chose to peacefully demonstrate and make a statement is one thing. To stand on the Capitol grounds, all right, to try to exert a sense of unity and strength as a group, I gotcha. But as soon as it took that next step to cause violence, to try to remove parts of the machinery of our democracy, that's where that line was crossed. And that's where I still feel like that in certain ways, there were people there that intended for that just unity group, but there was enough people there also with other ideas of what was going to be the solution to their what they perceived as a problem. And you throw all those people together in one big hornet's nest, and that's what you got. And you also have one big gentleman with a lot of power and big words to kind of stir it just a little bit harder with a very tense group. And that's where these problems come from. And maybe I don't know. That's where I have problem. I feel like with the tyrannical aspect, I can't isolate one tyrannical group in this that's really trying to lead a cause. I see multiple people coming together and forming an issue. So it's hard for me to isolate.
For me, I'm only pressing a little bit because of my criminology background. The behavior, as you said, when they entered the Capitol, they broke laws.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody that was there that went up them steps is free.
Agreed.
They created themselves as violating our Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
They went to stop the reading of the election results. So
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like, I feel bad personally because I see clearly they were misled.
Mm-hmm.
But once as adults, they walked on those steps and entered that Capitol, that's when my kind of like, you're a criminal.
Yeah.
I can't negotiate around outside, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
But when you walk that step, that's when you got to go to jail. You got to go to jail. You know, but I really, these roundtables are about finding solutions. So we had like a time frame. So the next question was whiteness. So Zero, if you can, check in, and then John, and if, I think I'm saying her name wrong.
It looks like it's Jules.
Jules, okay, because I'm seeing July with a Z, so okay, Jules, thank you. So Zero Condition, John, and then if my sister wants to chime in on what does whiteness mean?
Whiteness, beyond a spectrum of a color, is an idea of false superiority based on the founding, the initiatives almost of this country. What the European colonists, I believe, came to a new understanding of how we can create, in my mind, perhaps a new form of government where you have to qualify to be something that doesn't really exist, but perhaps in enforcing this false idea, create some kind of exclusivity where only a few people have the power to rule based on this lie. And in a way, this lie catalyst many of the hatred towards other people of melanin unnecessarily, with no real logic other than just control of resources. And to the degree that it didn't matter if you looked alike, you had to qualify, you had to, I guess my understanding of how this idea came to be. So it's a lie that has been passed on from generation to generation and systematically been used. And now we are stuck with something like a disease, and it feels impossible to get rid of. But I believe that that's just a feeling, because we just are not putting in the effort, the collective effort, to figuring out a solution, a long-term solution where we kind of reverse engineer in a way, or re-educate our youngsters to come to an enlightenment where the possibility of unity cannot be based on color, but rather based on common grounds of a balanced nature or a balanced earth.
Thank you for your 3 pages. I'm grateful.
It'd be less pages.
I have been writing. Good. I love it. Please, Brother John.
Write smaller, said Anam. You'll get more on a page.
Oh, okay.
I personally, I view whiteness as a archaic status quo, is what I view it at this point. Anyone that has heard me speak in the past with all these situations, I believe that we're reaching a point today where we need to move past any sort of racial, I guess, isolation, definitive categories. Those things are the dangers, and it doesn't matter who it is. Whatever side you are, as soon as you start categorizing, I am white, I am black, I am yellow, I am this, it makes no difference. You are doing the same thing in my mind. So whiteness is still the very beginning. That's the starting point, where if you weren't white, you weren't equal, you weren't right, you were obviously in the wrong. I think we have made steps to move past that, but we're still kind of repeating those same
John, you're chopping.
I'm not quite sure. Nothing's changing other than me moving a little bit. Now you're frozen. I think
it must be her signal.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think it's her.
Right, because I do see you, fluid.
Yeah, she is currently in.
John.
There you are.
We're saying some important things, but when you moved, we couldn't hear it. I don't.
It might have been you, because you froze up on both of us.
Oh, okay. Because I'm trying to take notes, and I'm like, he moving. I can't get it.
But
I'm sorry. I'm glad we're recording it, so I'll go back and edit what you said. But so I won't be able to capture everything.
That's all right.
Are you ready to talk about what whiteness is?
Sorry, did you call? Is that me?
Yeah, we were asking we heard from Zero Condition and John Halfway about whiteness. What is whiteness for you?
Yes.
How do you define whiteness?
That is a good question that I would still like to meditate on. I can give you whatever I have right now, but I will also come back to you with more of my thoughts on that. Whiteness, I guess a metaphor for me would be like forced bleaching of society, if you will, since the beginning of colonization and the domination by what appears to be white skin, which then led to the idea of privileged, ideology, colorism. I'm still pondering on that, and for me personally, it's I have to, yeah, that's what I'll give right now.
Very grateful, very informative. Each one of
I will come
you,
back to you.
it was so
with more.
unique for each person. Very grateful.
Oh,
I'll
okay.
agree that white is a construct. It's not a race.
I agree. Well, as I've said, I think really, truly, as long as we keep on trying to racially compartmentalize everybody, it doesn't matter. None of this is ever going to change because everyone's going to try to still view themselves as different from the other person. And honestly, it's just a physical appearance. There's nothing else to it.
Do people understand that the name of our new thing is One Human Race Solutions? That's what this is about. Our goal is for all of us to trace that we're one race. We're the same species. That's our goal. That's our goal. That's our goal. So I'm very thankful for that. So am I doing solutions or you, John?
That would be you, but I'll be happy to jump on there.
Okay, because I'm trying to take as many notes as I can.
I guess we're going to be leading ourselves to solutions, a good brainstorming opportunity to try to figure out what do we do to looking towards going beyond this whiteness issue or issues of acts of tyranny. So I guess I'd say this is a tough one. I think that
you can solve this.
I've been trying. I got up this morning. I had my second cup of coffee and I didn't quite finish it yet, but we'll try again tomorrow. End all to it, though, is still the fact that there is too much of everybody, I really believe, living in the past. Of those.
So your solution is?
Well, I'm getting there. You got to let me get my nice introduction in there. If I can't flow with an introduction, people just end up with the scraps at the end and don't feel like they get the full serving.
Okay.
I'd say with that in mind, the fact of trying to have that discussion and looking past, I think every time we can have another discussion like this, another time where people aren't afraid to push past the uncomfortable moment of I can't talk to so-and-so because I can't deal with what they're saying. They're so closed-minded. We need to push through and have these discussions and these hard discussions publicly. They can't just be pushed aside to little groups. We need to have it out there. And even if people aren't partaking in the discussion itself, can hear and see what's going on and make them think about it. That's the solution to all of these, just communication.
So to have discussions to push past the past national dialogue on one race, one human solution.
Yep.
Thank you. Zero?
Yeah, I would definitely like to add some to the discussion, which is no matter how much we try to get away from this, how some people sometimes are not comfortable speaking on race or on colorism, despite all that, we still have to check a box, or maybe it's not forced anymore, but there's still a box there where you say, are you white? Are you black? Are you this? Are you that? So as much as we don't want to compartmentalize, it's still like part of the culture. It's still part of the system. It still recognizes us to be separate. And so I always wonder, so what happens if we get rid of that? If we like across the board, like schools, like everywhere, if that was just like completely the whole color code, basically, if that was on paper at least vanished. And I think when I mentioned that to somebody, I said, well, something's gonna replace something. If it's not a color thing, it's gonna be a language thing. If it's not a language thing, it's gonna be a sexist thing, or this and the other. There's many things that may fill the vacuum, but I tend to deal with issues through confrontations. It's not always the best way to deal with things, but I would dare to see what would happen if we just got rid of the idea of color and try to identify us through a different lens.
Okay, to take away the color code on paper, like you mean government stuff or application document?
Right.
Okay. Thank you for that suggestion for a solution. Jules, are you there? You have a solution for tyranny, whiteness?
Yeah, well, since I'm out and about, I think it's a little hard for me to communicate my words speaking, so I'm just gonna try to type whatever thoughts I have.
Oh, okay, I just saw,
And then-
please, I just saw that. Very sorry, just saw that.
Oh, no worries. Eventually, I plan on participating more. So I'll definitely come back to these conversations. Definitely agreeing with continuing to have them continue to develop the dialogue and communication between people. Humans, it's part of human nature. Psychology teaches us that humans tend to group things together and make generalizations, and then that it's like a domino effect. And different people have different experiences based on the humans that they interact with, and then they come up with different ideas and generalizations, and they think, oh, the world must be like this because this is what I've experienced. So yeah, I apologize for my abstract thoughts, but I will
No, you owe us no apologies. We're very grateful. Please stop. You owe nobody an apology. We're happy you're here.
Thank you.
Very
Yeah.
happy you're here.
Did you shop local while you were grocery shopping? Supporting?
Yes.
Okay, good. At least you did that. We can move on from there at that point. But,
Okay.
no,
do you have any other solutions?
so I wanted to actually echo something from Zero Conditions there that I completely agree with, of eliminating that color code. I think is a tremendous step, but I think you kind of, again, you have to go across the board if doing that, and anything that can isolate any group, that's the problem, and that's going to be hard to get people to sit there and say, I want every other group to be equal, but mine needs to be special. That's going to be that hard thing to go over. But I completely agree that you go to that equal playing field, and yeah, there's going to be something to replace the void, but then you got to start somewhere. To not begin with one is just to ignore the problems because you're afraid of another one. But I agree entirely with eliminating that color code.
Okay. Okay. Zero Condition, do you have another solution you'd like to put forth?
Well, as a brother was talking, the next word that came to my head was equity, because
Equity?
equity. The idea that people have been disenfranchised because of how white terrorism has been utilized as a tool of oppression. There are groups of people who've suffered a lot of oppression and who deserve equity, who deserve a level playing field, because through generational trauma and oppression, they've been crippled. And I think that sometimes we confuse equality with equity, and equity is basically, in my mind, is giving resources to the areas that that we have destroyed, essentially, as a human race.
Okay, what I hear you say is equity equals resources to replenish due to generational trauma of whiteness?
Or destruction.
Destruction, generational trauma, destruction.
Of white terrorism.
Okay. Okay. I think, have I gone around twice?
Yep.
Okay. I'd like to propose, you know how the New York Times did the 400 years? Do y'all remember that?
Yeah, vaguely.
Well, I like to propose a 1455, like a project based on the 570th anniversary in 2025 that the Doctrine of Discovery was signed. I believe that highlighting that, probably 90%, no, I'd say 80% of the folks that were on those steps don't even realize that they weren't included because they were not land owning European Americans in the beginning. So I believe if we let everybody know that we're all being played by the same, monarchs here in the US, it would be the billionaire class or the, that class, that in fact we have more in common than we do different. And that we all know that the current system has caused climate change, and that's going to affect everyone, no matter how much melanin you have or not. We are destroying our host planet, Mother Earth. So I believe if we have, of course, like John said, have these dialogues, but I believe we have to enlighten everybody about how we got here. So just doing a historical overview of how we got here and how the US, my friends got mad at me because I wasn't pro Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I'm saying her RDB.
Ginsburg, yeah.
Because she signed on she just signed, it was like 4 months ago, or before she died, like a month before, signing the Doctrine of Discovery. So I'm like, okay, I'm done with her. I'm done with her. Y'all just all need to wear condoms or don't do it on the wrong day. They were mad at me. I said, she's upholding this racism stuff and no one's calling her to task. So that would be my solution, that we do an intensive education of all of us. So we all realize that the majority of us, especially in America, we have the same enemy in a certain respect, and we have more in common than we've got more in common. Just a quick story. Anytime I've traveled abroad, it's me being an American that has made, a song, a place. I have an instant connection to every American. I don't care what they look like. We are so much more alike than different. I wish Americans actually traveled, because when you get on a bus and you hear English, you're like, hey, where are you from? Where'd you go to high school? Like nothing about how we look matters. So it's like, we're so full of it.
Yeah,
when we're in Germany, France, Kenya, I'm an American. It's like, I really, sometimes I want to take pictures and video record anytime anybody hears English in a foreign country. Hey, where are you from? We don't ask your name, nothing. We're Americans. And then the people, I lived in Ghana the majority of my adult life. And like when the US is playing Ghana, they mad at me. I'm American. I'm fighting for my team. Even if I know we're going to lose, I'm holding up my flag. Okay. With my black self. Okay. I'm an American. So anyway, that's my 1-2. So I really wish we had one more. I feel bad that we only got 4 solutions. Jewel, you ain't got no solution for us. One solution.
She wrote something about how would you guys define individualism?
Okay. Okay. You know what? I didn't go down. I was too busy talking. Give me a second. How would you? I'm going to copy that, but I'm trying to get one solution. Mass dialogue, general therapy. Oh, okay. She's giving us one. Okay. That's a solution. I'm going to copy that. 3 seconds. mass dialogue, generational therapy, uplifting individuals, discouraging generalizations about any group of people. So we have our 5 solutions, y'all. Thank you.
Awesome.
I mean, this was part 1. So we'll tighten up these things, you know, on our notes. So with part 2, people will know what we came up with, and then they can take it from there. I'm very happy. John, are you next on our agenda?
Actually, Zero Conditions will be with his
Oh,
word that he'll
okay.
be offering up to us this evening.
Yes, I have a poetry I want to share. Freedom. Freedom. And as I wrote this poetry, I thought about different things that go with freedom, different definitions that go with freedom. A friend of mine introduced me to the idea that freedom can be spelled with PH. Therefore, I'm talking about having a balanced soil, not just, you know, like, because often we think of freedom as, you know, or often I've always thought of freedom as giving liberty or death, as if it's some kind of a death sentence. But when this friend of mine introduced the idea that a free space with PH, as in we need balance, as in that's like, you know, so that kind of challenged my idea. So as in, like, when I think about freedom, it isn't just a death sentence. It's really an opportunity to have a moment of balance and a moment of peace, a moment of clarity, or at least it should be. Freedom isn't just an idea. The sacrifice of giving up who you were to become who you are. The painful transformation to reach the creation that you once loved. Honestly, the truth is relative when you're blinded by your own negligence while disregarding nature's intelligence. The fact of life is perceived through a lens distorted by time, presently a crime just to take a breath in every subsequent step. Pray to the universe that we can find forgiveness in our savage ways. It's so minimal compared to what's actually possible. Who cares about the future when our children are just prizes of possession? You asking for concessions when your seeds are trapped under deception. It's easier to live in automation than struggle with the notion of pervasive false conceptions. We're crazy for giving birth to a baby that only satisfies our selfish nature. No further explanation. Just bring balance to our nation. Freedom with a PH.
I love it. Can I get the word so that we can put it on number 2?
Most definitely.
Oh
I
my
read it
gosh.
up. I just handwritten it just a couple of days ago. I'm blessed to, despite any pain that I've had to deal with as a human being, as a father who has had to deal with custody battles and all types of drama, I'm just glad that I can learn from my experience and be invested in platforms that I can pass down any knowledge that I've gained.
Amazing. You have anything else you want to share, or was that the piece for tonight?
That's the piece for tonight.
Very grateful. My brother, J.A.?
At this point, we're looking at a reviewing of the roundtable with the online audiences, which we've kind of done already, actually. But
Well, yeah, we have done that.
we have kind of surmised just about everything we've talked about,
Right.
kind of live action. So I would say at this point, Senam, it's up to you to talk about our plan of action and announcements.
Okay, I've put the announcements because we have 12 minutes left. I put the announcements inside the chat. So if anybody, you know, is something specific. And then what am I doing next?
The upcoming events, which I think you just kind of covered up as well.
Okay, yeah, I did.
Included that. At that point, we're moving on to quickly the statements of appreciation. If anyone has anything to offer, anything that they appreciate this evening. What do you want? You got anything that you'd like to offer?
State what did you say statement of appreciation?
Yes, sir.
I definitely, they got so much to appreciate in this, even in this moment right now. I appreciate this platform, Senator, yourself, and all of us, Jules, who came to stop by, and you know, the collective energy of that consistency that we was talking about. You know, despite what obstacles we might face, putting that energy into the universe so that we can get that vibration going. I'm down for that, and I appreciate y'all. Thank you.
I would echo that a little bit myself. The fact that under normal circumstances, I think that a majority of us would not come into common conversation to be able to have these discussions. Outside again of Sedanam yelling at people on buses to talk with her, which I know she does on a regular basis. But case in point, I think that opportunities like this to really bring in a group of people that on a normal day would not interact, I think has really been a strong sense in my life at this point, and I really appreciate being a small part of it.
I wanted to share that I appreciate the things you both shared, but we have online free resources. We have allies, organization, books, data, and now we can come up with metrics. So we can use our greater intelligence to address the problem with solid facts. We just have to use them. I shared on that page that I found only two other groups on the whole Facebook that have one race, one human race. And I've asked to join both of those. So it's gonna happen.
Nice.
Jules, is she there?
Yes, I am.
John, did you want to share with her this point 15?
I can, with the fact that we have knowledge on our side, the ability to have free planetary virtual to end racism roundtable, online resources, BICOP folks and our allies, and win real this civilization, societal and political change, organizations, books, data, and metric systems as well. Be able to really dive in and really truly understand what we're discussing to be able to have real firm solutions and facts behind us. And at this point, I'd like to offer up a short list of self-reflection questions that to invite all of our listeners and anyone hearing to really sit back and think about. One, what would your life look like personally if we weren't negatively impacted by the racist legal framework of the doctrine of discovery for the past 528 years? Two, how will we each discover our full power potential in this current racist legal framework before September 8th, 2021? Three, how could you contribute more to yourself, family, relationships, community, and the planet if you were free to operate without the current racist legal framework, i.e. the doctrine of discovery? Four, how do we document, analyze, deconstruct every tool created that has allowed the current racist legal framework created by 528 years to bring awareness to humanity? Five, what step must be taken to remove at each level of consciousness, erase the past 528 years of the current racist legal framework? Six, what is the one thing you can do right now to show your commitment to embodying your fullest potential outside the racist legal framework? And then seven, what must die, pass, or leave for us to all live? And add a sense of harmony. And that'll lead us up to our closure for the evening. So now if you'd like to take the lead as our queen bee leader bus screamer that you are.
I know. What I had wanted both John and I to do was to come up with something, for each one of us individually that you feel positive about, that you can give to someone else, kind of based on this discussion. How will they be uplifted, or how you want them to feel? And then share or highlight something you gained today, if you did, by this conversation. And then I will just read those 5 words together. So I can start with you, John. Any point, anything that you learned or you want to take to uplift somebody or highlight something that you learned or, what was impactful?
Well, I think impactful to me still is the discussion of removing the codification of race. I think that was a big one. I feel typically when that discussion comes up, I feel like there's times where I'm one of the few of the dissenters in that topic, and it's nice to feel that sentiment is out there. I guess the thing to really take away from at this point is just that there is hope. I really feel like there is. And it's so easy to feel downtrodden, so very easy on anything going on in the world at this point. And I know I've reached those moments as well. And to really sit there and think once or twice about good, the positive energy, what else is out there, and how we can continue to ride that positive wave and contribute to it, I think's there. As long as we make that a focus instead of focusing on the negativity, I think it's there.
Zero condition, and then Jules, if you'd like to share if you learn anything or how you can impact somebody or anything that you gained from today.
Yes. One of the areas of impact for me was the understanding of nature versus destruction in this current paradigm, or at least making that comparison, when we are bleaching the earth, what does that mean? Like beyond, just the physical, mental, spiritual, and how there is a positive light that if we can enlighten enough of us where we understand that, or rather we overstand that we are being played, it's about time to wake up. That moment is going to be crucial and it's going to be powerful. That a moment of awakeness is a moment of hope. And I'm thankful for that.
Thank you so much, John and Zero Condition. Jules, would you like to share either one of these 3 points we were asking? Did we lose Jules?
Sorry, one of the three, which 3 specific points?
We're asking, we're closing out. So we're
Right.
asking, what you want to highlight that was positive for you, if there's a way you can share what you got from today, just general good vibes. If anything, touched you specifically. We're closing out now. We only have
Right.
like 2 minutes left.
Yeah, so I feel blessed to be directed to this dialogue. So, and me going through some personal things, just helping me, I guess, continuing to ponder on what does that the phrase what does that mean when it comes to all these different ideologies and social constructs. So I guess it's just bringing up that it would be good to really sit down and meditate on that and write some things down. Just continuing to question questions of what does this mean? What does this actually mean? Where does it come from? What's the bigger picture? Well, I mean, we all are already talking about we're trying to continuously trying to think about the bigger picture just here by talking about how we're going to end racism. But so just I think writing things down for me would be good. That's on a personal level. Something that I could do individually that would help to see what would come out of that, what more ideas would come out of that. And just self-reflections on how everything is connected, and I guess doing some experiments with the different energy and thoughts that you bring around with you, how they affect others, trying to just experiment on how different vibes are spread, if that makes sense. I don't know.
You're very sensible. I'm gonna ask John if he can read each of the 5 rules, and we just say each one after you, and then we'll close out.
God, justice.
Justice.
Oh my. Open-mindedness.
Open-mindedness.
Hey.
I feel like we're like at Sesame Street here. Truthfulness.
Truthfulness.
Accountability.
Accountability.
And one last from you said and I know you got it in you, unity.
That was net zero, unity.
Right. And there's another
Unity
one,
and peace.
Peace.
Yeah.
Peace. Thank you. I'm blessed and favored. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you all.
Thank you guys. Speak to you again.
Okay, definitely. Bye-bye.
Bye.